In 302, we read Morgan Freeman's chart, and I noticed that he was born with one of these void of course periods, which opened my eyes wide. Given how we're generally advised to work with or around void of course moons in electional astrology, what are your thoughts on why a soul would need to be born during a void moon? And what can we say to a client who may show up aware and in despair about being born at such a time and has not yet found the grace in it? Thank you so, so much.
Yeah, great. If a client comes to me born under a void of course moon, one of the first bits of practical advice I'll give them is never Google it. It will really depress you. What you discover when you Google the question is astrologers in chorus, your life will come to nothing, everything will fall apart, failure. It's just not true. I mean, tell it to Morgan Freeman, has his life a failure? Has it come to nothing? I'll give you some more examples in a moment. This is a grievous, grievous, damaging error. And so we have to be very careful not to make that error. Now, the void of course moon, some of you may not even know what it is. It's about if the moon has finished making all its major aspects before it leaves the sign that it's currently in. If it's going to not make any more aspects until it enters the next sign, major aspects, it's void of course. And it's a bad time for starting things. Like, don't open a business under a void of course moon. Don't ask somebody to marry you under a void of course moon. The major choices like that. It's best to avoid the void of course moon. Kind of a big topic, but I want to focus on the natal chart, which is Penelope's question. And there, I just went through my own files to come up with some examples. Morgan Freeman, Penelope came up with that. He's obviously done quite a lot with his life. Astrologically, I think of the great astrologer Noel Till, whose accomplishment was huge, and void of course moon. Tem Terichtar founded the Mountain Astrologer magazine. He was a friend of mine, and he passed away kind of young, which is not necessarily a void of course pattern, but the Mountain Astrologer may be the most successful astrology magazine of them all, as far as at least content. H.G. Wells, we use him for an example in the class some. Ingrid Bergman, you've seen Casablanca, often on the short list for the greatest movie ever made. Was her life a failure? Did it come to nothing? Werner von Braun, the Nazi rocket designer who, at the end of World War II, said, not Nuremberg, no, come and design our rockets for us. He had a wonderful career as a good American citizen, go figure. But void of course, he basically is the father of the space program. And so again, Malcolm X, back in the civil rights days, again, assassinated early, but to call his life a failure, he made a major, major statement about the dignity of Black people and their renunciation of their dependency upon white culture. And he made that statement very, very powerfully. And he died young, but his message got out there. Paramahansa Yogananda, born under a void moon. And did he leave a legacy? I think it's fair to say he did. We can easily refute the thing you read on the internet, that this is some kind of hijinks. I do think at a deeper level that such people are learning how to detach themselves from the fruits of their actions. It's a very basic spiritual discipline that will do something because it's right, just because it's right, not because I think it's going to work. I'd like it if it worked, but it's right, so I'll do it. And so with that kind of attitude, if we respond well to the natal void of course moon, and we have much more of a freedom from the slavery to results, and we're focused much more on principles and living up to our principles, it frees us to say the impossible takes a little longer. I'm willing to boldly go into something because it's right, and maybe it won't work, but maybe it will. And there, Oh, I mean, I could be long-winded about this, but Tim Tariktar trying to start trying to make a living doing an astrology magazine that he was Xeroxing and, impossible. But he did it, he made it work. Wernher von Braun wanting to bring humans into space. He didn't live to see it, but he made a pretty good start on that. H.G. Wells with a vision for a culture that was basically run by science and reason. I mean, good luck with that. But, he made the attempt and pushed in that direction. Impossible things become more feasible to us in terms of our own behavior if we're not completely addicted to the fruits of our action. So I think there's the deeper understanding of the spiritual meaning of being born under that void moon.